All right, well, I've just been given the thumbs up. I want to thank you all for coming out today. My name's Adam Rice. I'm with a small, funny named company called Looksy, and I wanted to talk to you today about the creative, not creepy perks of social media analytics. And just to give you a better idea of what social media analytics is, social media is kind of fun. Analytics sucks all of the fun out of that, so this is going to be a very boring, horrible presentation. So we're locking the doors, you can't go anywhere. I called Twitter a few hours ago and had them reserve this hashtag for us today. So if you are, it's Geekend _2011 _Looksy _creative _not _creepy _social _media _analytics. If you wanted to use some combination of Geekend and Looksy, that's fine too. So many of you who know me know that I'm a pretty high level, very smart, intelligent, fast, strong, athletic person. And so I like to start things maybe a little abstractly. So I'm going to just throw some things out there, bear with me, and just let them marinate on these things for a little while. So first, chicken. Second, Southeast Asia. Third, Kenny Rogers. Okay, again, chicken. Okay, Southeast Asia, Kenny Rogers. Okay, now that we have those sort of things sitting in the back of our heads, we're ready to kind of get into some more stuff. I'll tell you a little bit about Looksy, who we are and what we do. We're a small startup based in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been in business for about 2.5 years. We came out of a small incubator called Shot Put Ventures, and I don't know if has anybody heard of Shot Put Ventures? Okay, I know you guys are from Atlanta, so. But it's basically a Y Combinator style incubator. We had an idea, my co-founder and I are both graduates of the digital media program at Georgia Tech, and if you haven't heard of that, that's kind of like as close as you can get to being a shoeless hippie running through fields at Georgia Tech. So it's a buttoned-down engineering school, but we're the more artsy-fartsy guys who like to go out into the field and talk about interfaces and our feelings and how to design better products that people interact with online. So anyway, 2.5 years in business. We came out of that incubator. Within 3 months, we built this basic Twitter aggregating kind of ugly thing. Some of the original investors liked it, so they followed up with some angel investment. Then we used that to spend about 7 months developing the product as it is now. We currently have over 20 customers. Our customers are largely small and mid-sized digital agencies. We also work with some traditional PR firms as well. We do also work with smaller brands, a couple of startups based in Atlanta, also Georgia Lotto and the Fox Theater, who I'll be talking about a little bit more later. We have over 16,000 active social media searches, so this is basically what our customers do. They'll go in and create searches for brands or competitors or just different trends or topics that they're interested in, and we aggregate over 1 million records a day, and those records come from a variety of social media. And again, I changed this slide. It says we're local because I usually never get out of ATL, but we're from Atlanta, Georgia. So I'll kind of go over some of the rigmarole social media statistics. Nielsen just came out with a study. I don't really need to convince you that social media is important, but I'm going to try to make the case why it's important to businesses. Nielsen says 80% of American online internet users are socially active. I think they're using protection too, so that's good. So that means that they are consuming videos on YouTube, reading blog posts, commenting on those blog posts, and engaging with social networks on Facebook, via Twitter, and things of that nature. 40% of those 80%, if you can break that down, use mobile devices to access their social media. So they're either watching videos or reading blog posts or poking somebody on, I don't think you can poke anymore, but they're doing something to somebody via, you can, okay, so there's still some poking going on. This is very good news for all of us. And just to kind of break it down time-wise too, these socially active people will spend about 25% of their time online engaging social content, and when we kind of put that in perspective with the other activities that you'll do online, it dwarfs all of the ones on their own, like email and gaming, and even when you combine email and gaming and throw in porn, it still doesn't reach 25% of your online time. So what does this mean for businesses? Well, quite simply, it's the opportunity to interact with more people in more places at more times. So if you're on the go, you can interact with a brand out in the wild with your cell phone or on your social network. So with this wonderful opportunity comes a very scary bearded challenge. how do companies make meaningful connections, brands, that is, make meaningful connections with consumers. It's one thing to, I don't want to be best friends with Taco Bell and have them hear about what a horrible day I've had, and I also don't want Palmolive commenting on my relationship status. That's personal. I don't need to be friends with you. You're a business. But I do believe, as users of social media and from the user perspective, there are some benefits from interacting with brands online. And as Casemate pointed out earlier in their wonderful case study about what happened when they let graphic designers have access to designing cases, you can kind of get creative with brands or have meaningful interactions. And from a bottom line kind of perspective as a user, I want free stuff, I want discounts, and I want to have it delivered to me in a meaningful way. And from the flip side, for businesses, I think it gives you a genuine connection in the sense that, again, you're not best friends, but you understand what people like and don't like about your business, your practices, or your product. So that can be really valuable from a customer service standpoint, from a product design standpoint, and also it's about sales too. So if you can effectively engage people, you're going to be able to sell them something much better. So that's largely the challenge. So that's why companies like mine exist. So we built software, and you might be familiar with some other companies in our space, and I'll give you the ends of the spectrum. At one end, there's a company called Radian 6, and they provide kind of an enterprise-level monitoring solution. It's also enterprise priced. So please don't try them. You should try us first. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they do wonderful work with lots of large brands and everything like that. And then at the other end, you'll have companies like RowFeeder who do really small, easy, simple monitoring solutions for one-off projects. And we kind of like to situate ourselves in the middle. We're still a two-person startup, pretty scrappy. We built a pretty good piece of software, and we kind of think of ourselves as that boutique solution. So when we're working with agencies or smaller brands, we're able to give them that tailored customer service and make sure that they're getting the most out of a monitoring solution, which is our monitoring solution. So basically what it does is we're able to tell our customers who is talking. So is it, once you start looking at your search data, is it a customer, is it a sales lead, is it an affiliate marketer, or is it somebody else who you might not have known is talking about your brand? We're able to tell them with some pretty decent detail where they're talking, and I don't mean geographically. That's a whole other presentation. It's a big mess when it comes to geodata and social media. But in terms of whether the message is on Twitter or Facebook, in the comments thread of a mommy blog in Fresno, California, or something like that. And we're also able to give them some handles on what people are saying. So if it's trending kind of frequency, if people are talking about a particular topic in conjunction with your search term, we're able to pull that out and let you know that, in fact, your brand is correlated with kittens, act accordingly. And then once our users actually use this data for a while, they're able to more effectively join the conversation. So it's not about blindly firing marketing messages, and if it doesn't work, keep trying it over and over again. It's about developing more agile content strategies. So you're able to jump in and talk to people on their own terms about things they really care about. Let's see what slides next. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like inside our system, and I'm going to just walk you through. If I were a new user, I'd create a search for Texas Pete. Texas Pete is a lovely hot sauce brand. I don't know if you like your food. It's a little spicy, a little salty. This does the trick for you. So if I go in there and create my search for Texas Pete, I'll start aggregating terms. We kind of give people an idea of how that search term is performing over time, so they get an idea of the volume. So we could tell them, on Tuesdays, people are talking more. We did do some work with Buffalo Wild Wings, and we saw that on Tuesdays when they were on their wing promotions, spike on social media. So we could figure out when people were talking most, and again, they're the Nito graphs, and you could see there's the trend data we pull out, what's being pulled in. And then I think what I get most excited about is that we actually keep all the actual mentions, so you're able to see what the people are actually saying. So once you do this and you start aggregating things, you have this interface on all this data. It really puts you face to face with all the profound things people are saying about your brand. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff out there, a lot of ass dipping and things. Oh, Shelby, what are we going to do with her? Anyway, so, but just to get real, so what we're kind of seeing from our perspective as a software provider is that social media monitoring and listening is really informing a whole host of business processes, and it's sitting in conjunction with a lot of other software that businesses are using to make differences. So what social media listening will do is, it can inform your content strategies, and it can be more of a sort of a barometer of how people are receiving your messages. And then it can go in and inform what sort of messages you're delivering via your email marketing software and your CRM. to your existing clients. And then the really smart folks are actually tying in the financials. So when they see, when we did start talking about kittens versus puppies, we noticed that our sales were going up. And then they can also use listening to kind of be reactive about that. So if they notice their kitten message is flagging a little bit, maybe they'll throw in some more photos of kittens to boost their interaction rates. So just to kind of give you a list view of what customers use software like ours for, it's more to inform content strategy, like I said, so developing more tailored, interactive, and dynamic content for your targets to interact with. It's also about expanding marketing efforts too. So we find a lot of our customers will set up searches, and then they discover a whole demographic has been talking about them or is interested in something that they're also interested in. So they'll be able to then branch out and create new targets and new content strategies. And it's also about qualitative metrics too. So we do also work with BFG here in town, and they do a great job of developing their own in-house qualitative metrics and looking at things basically like as basic as sentiment and thematic topics to help their clients deliver better and engage with more people. And we also see our customers using it to perform customer service. So a lot of the data comes in real time, so when you see somebody's either satisfied or dissatisfied, it's a good opportunity to either react or just sort of benchmark that and say, okay, these are the kinds of comments we want to see more of. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what we've seen out in the world. So we've done some reporting for Publix, and who's familiar with Publix? If you're from the Southeast, you obviously know who they are. They're a pretty big grocery chain, pretty well liked amongst consumers. They have a huge Facebook following. Close to 200,000 people like Publix on Facebook. They have a locked Twitter account, but don't let that fool you, because they are pretty socially active, and they are doing a lot of things in terms of Facebook advertising and spending a lot of money to try to acquire fans and do things like that. And they also get about 1,500 mentions a day. And that's all stuff that's happening off-site. So what people are talking about on Twitter, Facebook, blog posts, not on their own Facebook page. And to give you some perspective on that sort of volume, how many people have heard of McRib or the McRib sandwich? Yes, it's delicious. I see you're making that very satisfied face. It's this amazing processed meat, and they've just recently announced that it's back. The McRib is back. Hallelujah. And this is a nationwide phenomenon. It's huge. They get about 3,000 mentions a day. So to give you some idea of perspective, this is a regional supermarket chain, and they're getting about half that consistently throughout the year. So people love Publix, and they love talking about Publix. So we went in and we were like, okay, we're going to look at all of these mentions for you. So very easily off the bat, we were able to tell them, okay, here's where most of your conversations are happening, mostly on Twitter and Facebook. So that's where we chose to concentrate our analysis. And then as we dug in, we noticed 74% of the mentions were actually coming from customers, and then the other 26% breaks down thusly. 13% of that would be employees, and then that other 13% breaks down to being protesters for some reason. People were very upset with Publix, very small amount of people, affiliate marketers, and news organizations. So you could see here, we also found that customers were most likely to talk about their experiences in Publix on Twitter, and while employees were all over the place on Facebook. So you can see here, Daryl has worked double shifts all week because Chris is sick. He's super pissed, and he's talking about it on Facebook. So you have this idea of who's talking and where they're talking. And just some additional insights that we were able to pull out too. And these were kinds of things that were some things they did know or anticipated, and some things they didn't. So 15% of all the mentions on Twitter were actually check-ins, people talking about them on Foursquare or GoWalla, and saying, hey, I'm at Publix right now, I'm buying, Haribo and milk. And then 26% of mentions included products, actually Publix brand products. Most popular were subs and cakes, and they weren't really surprised by that, but when we told them Publix sushi was getting mentioned a lot, and Publix sushi is kind of gross, I'll say it, they were pretty surprised by that. And in addition, so we also saw that 5% of mentions were including actual promotions or amounts saved. And this was kind of out of sync with what they thought, because I think they're spending a good amount of money on affiliate marketing, and those messages aren't really sort of resonating amongst the general public. So that was kind of some interesting learnings that we got out of digging into that data. Sure.
So you're pulling this information from people's Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Is it coming, it looks like it's coming to you with their actual who they are, as
Yeah.
opposed to blind data.
Right. Well, so yeah, there's a couple of interesting things about that. One, we're evil, so we are able to get all of. No, I'm just kidding. We're not evil. So Facebook actually, when they released their Open Graph API about a year and a half ago, they gave search access to publicly available status updates and wall posts. And the only provision was, in the part of the terms of services, that you can't really access it. Like, you can go to search.twitter.com and search for anything you want on Twitter, and you can get usernames and all that stuff. But Facebook said the only provision is that you have to use a third-party commercial service to actually access that data. So we're kind of like the wall that they use there. So yeah, we're able to get publicly available Facebook data and any sort of tweets as well.
If somebody says, I will only share this with my friends, does that come into your data?
No, it doesn't. So
So
it.
people have to be sharing it.
They have to, yeah, it has to be publicly available. So we don't have, it's touch and go with the Facebook data. So it's kind of, we get a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Sorry, just a quick on that question. I mean, it's things like gender, age, and you can put it in little subcategories based on all that.
No, we actually don't get access to that data. But there are some, they have the Facebook Insights API, but that only does on-page analytics. This is just raw. We're more of like a qualitative aggregate. Okay.
This may be obvious to other people, but what does it mean, locked account?
Oh, locked account. So they basically only allow people who they want to look at their tweets to have access to their tweets. So it's just basically a private version of a Twitter account. So if you're,
So you have to like opt in and they have to allow you to?
yeah, you have to say, please, Publix, let me follow you. I don't think they're talking about anything interesting, but yeah, in the back there. Yeah.
I'm an employee at Publix, actually.
I'm sorry if you're a sushi chef.
Oh, no,
People
I
do
mean,
like it.
I don't I love their subs, though.
Yeah, yeah. Me too.
When you actually get a mention from Facebook, do you have to include the @ where it actually tags the page? And it shows up, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
When you put it in the
oh.
status, to actually have it linked up, like when you link it with your friends, when you tag
Yeah.
your friends in a post,
Yeah.
you can also tag the pages.
This is all just semantic
So
data.
it's-
If you just type Publix and don't tag Publix, so
It's still
or
gonna
if you
go-
say like I love kittens and we're searching for I love kittens, we're going to be able to get it. It doesn't have to be associated with any account. If it's just that semantic data of you saying or uttering or typing something, then we're able to get it.
Okay.
So is there no relevance to the hashtag in front of?
It depends. You can set up, so some of our clients like to actually target Twitter campaigns and things like that, so they will set up a hashtag search. But just the same, so if I was searching for that amazing hashtag that I had at the beginning, if you saw it or not, or if I wanted to search for Geekend, I could just set up a search for #Geekend or Geekend, we'll get both of those. So if you want to target just the Twitter data, you could search for #Geekend. If not, you could just search for it.
So is there a relevance to people putting the hashtag in there?
Yeah, there is, and from a business perspective, it's also about managed campaigns or managed messages. So if you want to know, if you're running a promotion and saying, okay, mention this exact hashtag to qualify to win, this, then there's some. That's definitely from a business application standpoint some relevance. Did I see a hand in the back? Yeah.
What would be the purpose of a company like Publix having a locked account? I mean, I could see it maybe being like a niche brand, and it was very much about making people feel like they were, it was a personalized experience. But with a company like Publix, I don't.
So this is what I surmise, and I can't, and this is all kind of a report that we put together and just took to them. They didn't really sanction it or anything, but so the best I could surmise is that they're keeping it private because they're really interested in targeting geographic locations. So when it comes to the point of opening up Twitter accounts, they might want to have, Publix ATL or Publix, Charlotte or different sort of markets. So that way they can get a little more granular. And it's a pretty smart move, especially for Twitter, because I could talk a little bit about, once I finish, I could talk a little bit about what the geodata situation is with Twitter, because it's kind of hairy. Anyway, so moving on from there, I'll talk a little bit about the Fox Theater. The Fox Theater is a beloved institution in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a historic nonprofit, and they host all sorts of different concerts and shows and things that enrich our community in Atlanta. So they have currently 44,000 likes on Facebook. over 10,000 followers on Twitter, and it's all handled by this one amazing dude, Russ Saul. And if you're ever in Atlanta and have questions about, don't tell him I sent you his way, but this guy really knows how to rock social media as a one-man show, especially for nonprofits too. He's really active in the community. So what does the Fox Theater actually do with Looksee? Well, when I kind of went to talk to them about using Looksee, they were cobbling together a bunch of different solutions. So they were using Google Analytics and Google Alerts and a couple of different searches on Twitter, but that still wasn't as comprehensive as they needed. So what they've been doing is once they have all this data in one place, they're able to find new fans or people who are talking about them that they didn't know. And then they're able to reach out to them. And in terms of brand health too, they use it for a PR kind of practice. They did have some PR issues in the past, and they're really concerned with keeping a healthy appearance in the Atlanta community. So they use it to conduct PR and monitor that. And in addition to that, they also use it to provide these excellent customer experiences in the venue itself. So if they're monitoring on social media, people's mentions, they're like, oh, I'm going to the Lyle Lovett concert and it's my anniversary. This guy will actually go and look up the person, if they have a weird enough name, figure out who they are, look them up in the ticket database, and have some champagne or some complimentary tickets or a t-shirt waiting for them in their seat, just so that way they know. And then those sorts of things really, those are the kind of squishy, hard to measure qualitative bonuses of social media and interacting with people via social media. So he does a lot of that stuff. It resonates in the community pretty well. He's very well liked, and people know that he does really great work for the Fox Theater. So kind of returning back, I know I had you kind of marinate on some things at the beginning of the presentation. If you'll humor me for a moment, I'll take you out. And who here remembers Kenny Rogers Roasters? At all? Okay, I'm going to play this little Seinfeld clip. I use PDFs for my presentations. So,
Hey, Seth. Man, it is coming down hard out there. Gross. That's not going to be good for business.
That's not going to be good for anybody.
Son?
okay, so that's kind of what we surmise happened to Kenny Rogers Roasters. We don't really know why they went out of business. Okay, I think we can surmise better. But so maybe call it code fatigue, or being a two-person startup, we get really busy. So we built this piece of software and we're looking for something interesting to do with it. So we decided, why not set our sights on Kenny Rogers Roasters? And to me, in my limited caveman brain, I thought, well, I'm going to find maybe a handful of funny hipster jokes and references, and definitely some Seinfeld references as well. But what we did find when we started digging into the data was absolutely, mind-blowing in some ways. Kenny Rogers is alive and well in Southeast Asia. In fact, many Southeast Asian patrons in the Philippines and Malaysia, to be more precise, are enjoying delicious chicken under the careful bearded gaze of Kenny Rogers. So that was just kind of one finding that we were really surprised by. And this kind of led to this deeper thesis that we had. And I say words like thesis, again, we're kind of these touchy-feely academics who have a business. It is social media in the end. And the businesses that we see that are having real success are actually remembering this, that it is social. This is where people are expressing themselves. This is where, sometimes it's crude, sometimes it's really stupid. If you've ever read YouTube comments, of course, I think that's been a trope this conference. It's where a lot of hatred goes on. But at the end of the day, it's where people are expressing themselves. And if you're a brand and they're rolling up your brand into their personal expressions, you better be damn grateful, because this is how they're expressing themselves to their friends and doing basically free marketing and PR for you via their networks. So that's pretty much our soapbox that we like to get on, and we work with a lot of customers who really do get this and really do amazing things. So from there, I definitely like to give big ups to BFG. They do an amazing job with our software, and they do a really amazing job with Geekend, and all of the sponsors for Geekend for putting this on. It's a great opportunity for us to get weird and jiggy with some big ideas in social media. And then I just like to say thanks. And so if you don't know me and you're not in the Atlanta area, or if you are, just feel free to email me anytime. I love to talk about social media, monitoring, all this kind of fun stuff. And you can ping me on Twitter as well. I'm not as active on Twitter as I should be. I haven't I drink the social media Kool-Aid part-time. But if you hit me up and talk about tacos or any other food experiences you like, I'll definitely hit you back. So that's about Look-See. That's kind of the creative benefits we feel you can get out of social media. If you have any questions, I'm all you. And if you want to look more at Kenny Rogers, we can go back and leave him on the screen while we talk. So thank you very much, everybody. I really